Hey y'all, Pastor Sam here, and welcome to the Sermon Cast for First Christian Church in Hammond, Louisiana. Here at FCC Hammond, we are a gathering of Jesus followers caught up in this crazy Jesus movement seeking to bring healing and wholeness to our fractured world. We hope you find this message meaningful and encouraging. We would love to connect with you to answer any questions you might have about us, Jesus, or just life in general. How you can contact us can be found in the description below. Just remember, God loves you, we love you. May you experience grace and peace in your journey today and every day. And now, the Sermon Cast.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So I got a question for you, but don't answer it. Just answer it in your head. When was the last time you had fun? Now, just some qualifiers. I'm not talking about the kind of like busy fun that leaves you tired, or the fun that you plan months in advance, which is never fun. I'm talking about the kind of fun that's unplanned, that's unfiltered, and leaves you feeling joy, is maybe one way to say it. It leaves you feeling this sense of like being fully present in a moment. What'd you do? You're laughing, what happened? Oh. See, look, fun. Look, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. So I guess you guys answered the question. It was just right now for those of us who laughed. Thinking about that kind of fun, the kind we just had, we might kind of think of that as like a distraction or even something that should be planned or avoided, in its proper place at the proper time. Maybe even feel that way about planned fun. I know that's how I feel. Here's the thing, though. Fun is just more than a destination that we go to or a diversion that distracts us. It's a gift. It's a gift. It's a sacred gift. It's a rhythm that God has woven into nearly every aspect, if not all aspects of our lives. And so today we're going to explore that. We're going to explore the rhythm of fun and how it moves through our lives, and more importantly, what it does to us and for us. So, knock, knock.
Who's there?
It's fun.
Fun who?
It's fantastic to see you. Let's get this party started.
Reading from Luke chapter 15, verses 11 through 32. Then Jesus said, there was a man who had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the share of the wealth that will belong to me. So he divided his assets between them. A few days later, the younger son gathered all he had and traveled to a distant region, and there he squandered his wealth in dissolute living. When he had spent everything, a severe famine took place throughout the region, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that region, who sent him to his fields to feed the pigs. He would gladly have filled his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to his senses, he said, how many of my father's hired hands have bread enough to share, but here I am dying of hunger. I will get up and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me like one of your hired hands. So he sent off and went to his father. But while he was still far off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion. He ran and put his arms around him and kissed him. Then the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his slaves, quickly bring out a robe, the best one, and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet, and get the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to celebrate. Now his elder son was in the field, and he came home and approached a house. He heard music and dancing. He called one of the slaves and asked, "What's going on?" He replied, "Your brother has come to your father, has killed the fatted calf because he has got him back safe and sound." Then he became angry and refused to go in. His father came out and began to plead with him. But he answered his father, "Listen, for all these years I have been working like a slave for you, and I have never disobeyed your command. Yet you have never given me even a young goat so that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came back, who has devoured your assets with prostitutes, you killed the fatted calf for him." Then the father said to him, "Son, you are always with me. All that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice because this brother of yours was dead and come back to life. He was lost and has been found." A word of God for our times.
Thanks, Paulina. Hello, everybody. Are you getting ready for the snowpocalypse that's coming? Man, I don't know what's up with 2025. It didn't even give us 3 hours. You know what I mean? It was this like, hey, here's 2025. You think 2024 was rough? Yeah, I'm not a fan of this. I moved down here to not be in snow anymore. There's some people in the room that I won't say their name, just their initials, but Morgan loves this idea. And it's caused quite a rift. But, you know, I am a forgiving person, so that's good, and I can look past those things. And I'll look past that for you, too, if you're one of those snow people. You know, I have a secret that's probably not so secret to share, but I've always if anybody asked me, like, what I dreamed to be one day, I would say I would want to be a stand-up comedian. Seriously. I mean, I've dabbled in it a little bit. I've definitely studied it, watched a lot of it. You know, and even through some of the stuff that we're getting connected to in New Orleans, like, I think I might take a run at it. I don't know. Might take a run at it. Well, maybe you guys can help me. Can I try it a bit? I have a bit. That is what comedians call like a joke. It's called a bit. So here it goes. I didn't get any tacit affirmation, so I'm assuming that's yes. So, you know, Morgan and I just got engaged, so we've been thinking a lot about marriage, and I've also been thinking a lot about how opposites attract. You know what I mean? And I started thinking about all those opposites about us. Like, Morgan is big on, I would just say the big word is aesthetics. She's big on that, like clothes and decor, and even how like food and drink is, not even just how it looks, but like how it feels in certain ways. And me, well, if black and white and rice and water were aesthetically pleasing, I'm your next top model. Like, that's my vibe. And we're very, very different in that regard. Or I think about pizza. You know, like, she's a sausage person and I'm a pepperoni person. She likes that New York crust kind of stuff, and I'm like super thinner the better. You know what I mean? I love mushrooms. She doesn't love mushrooms, which really actually gives me a lot of concern. And it gives me a lot of doubt, honestly, about whether, you know, her love for me, because, like, I'm a fun guy. Oh, come on, it's the bad ones. That's good. Hey, okay, just give me a break. You want to know why that doesn't go good? Yeah. Don't hug her. She really does. I wasn't joking about the mushrooms part. She really doesn't like mushrooms, and that's a problem. But the truth is this. I really, really, really want to be a fun guy. I am not. I'm just not. Don't nod so much when you say that. Because here's another quick bit for you. Like, you know, why was the not funny guy compared to a cactus? Because he was prickly and no fun to be around. You know, and that's me. I'm a cact guy. That's actually what I am. And you know, just to be fair, speaking for all of us cacti and cact gals out there, you know, I just have a weird relationship with fun. It's hard for me, and for lots of reasons. Like one of the big ones for me is like there's so much, and I'm one of those guys. So much suffering in the world, so much pain, so much hurt, so much work to do. How can we have fun when so many other people aren't? Or like even like thinking about my background, fun was a luxury. We actually talk about this a lot. Fun was a luxury for me, and a rare one at that. And it wasn't common. And when I did have fun, like I got in trouble, or it even hurt me in some capacity. And I just learned over all those years is like serious is safer. It's safer to be serious. Fun's good, but as long as it's in its proper place. And all that being said, I wish I didn't have so much tension with fun. Like it's something I've really wanted to work on. I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about at all. Like who's the fun people? Who's the fun guy? Yes, we all know. Yeah. Look how I know. Who's the cat guy and cat gals out there? Yeah, yeah, the people that make the world run. That's right. Yeah, while you guys are off having fun, And this is actually why one of the many reasons why we're doing this series about rhythms. And I've said this before, usually when we think about church and rhythms, we think about the normal rhythms like, prayer and worship and all these things. But the thing is if you don't do those things, like that doesn't mean there aren't other rhythms more deeply implanted in our humanity. And once you start thinking about, you're starting to see there are some key rhythms and patterns in our life that everybody experiences and that are deeply formational, and they all are connected and come from the divine. And so we just wanted to spend the next several weeks like digging into that and like what that means and how can we practice that. So week one we talked about the rhythm of rhythms and we talked about they're so important because rhythms over time give life. And then we talked about stories last week and how stories are rhythms too that teach us. And they do so much more than just like give us data and information. They're transformational, really. And it's because stories over time give us a bigger perspective. And I challenge you, I really hope you do this. Engage in stories, whatever that is, in all the ways we talked about it, that kind of stretch you a little bit, and open up your perspective. Maybe even stuff that you're all too familiar with. Maybe try to read it with different eyes. But this week, if you haven't guessed, we're going to talk about fun, and we're going to talk about fun. But I know some of you might be thinking, okay, I was with you on rhythms, I was with you on stories. I don't know about fun, and it's probably because you're not a fun person. But that's okay. But no, it's all over the place. Because remember, if rhythms are patterns, events, sounds, movements that create a sense of order, flow, and balance, fun is all of that, right? Because we experience fun, enjoyment, amusement all the time through our life. And it's rhythms, there's beats to it. Like in our daily routines, we have those rhythms. Like spontaneous laughter, that happens sometimes, or like how we sometimes play with one another, right? And with words, or how we unwind, our rhythm of shutting down for the day. Even when we when we clean ourselves, our rituals of clean, they can be fun. Like who else? I mean, you don't see us dancing or singing in the backyard. We sing in the shower, and even there's bigger rhythms with seasons, like even how we have fun. Like think about summer, it's swimming and picnics and outdoors, and then the fall it's jumping in leaves, not here, but maybe pine straw, but. All the little festivals that happen, and then winter, well, soon we're going to be, you want to build a snowman because it's fixing to happen. Because, we only can do that in the winter, and all the things that go around with winter. And then there's spring, and then we think about the celebrations that happen are like birthdays and anniversaries and holidays and the traditions those bring. And then even community events like fairs and parades, like Mardi Gras is coming. That's literally the definition of fun, like what's coming up. And then there's all these little weird, unexpected things that happen. You know what I'm talking about. I can't even begin to describe them all, where it happens and you're like, that shouldn't be funny, but it's funny.
It just catches you off guard. And you see fun and it's probably one of the more subtle rhythms that we just, even the fun people, like just kind of just look over. But it's there all the time, showing up, creating order and pattern and rhythms in our life. And honestly, it's why we've started so early with it, because it's really one of the more foundational ones, along with stories. And you see it all through Scripture. And it's an intensely, deeply important thing. Once again, that I think of all the things we look around and we see all these things, but for some reason, fun is always through there, but we just don't notice it like we do everything else. For example, this gospel that Paulina just read from us from Luke. Probably the number one Jesus parable, that every single person knows, the parable of the lost son. The context is really important because, what's happening is Jesus is around these tax collectors, sinners, and they're living life, doing their stuff. And the Pharisees and the religious leaders, they don't like this for many reasons. They say this man, welcomes sinners and eats with them. And over in Matthew, there's this one charge that they made on Jesus where they say, where Jesus tells them what he says, the Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, here is a glutton and a drunkard and a friend of tax collectors and sinners. So like this was a charge that was against him, that he liked to eat and drink, with the wrong, really with the wrong of people. And they are talking about something big, of like, hey, you shouldn't be doing anything with anybody we deem unworthy or impure. But the subcontext is you definitely shouldn't be having fun with them. Definitely not. If you want to get around and eat with them and then lower the hammer on them, that's fine. But you're going to have fun with them? We missed that, didn't we? But then Jesus responds with what? Stories. This is a pretty big charge that he probably could have responded back in a very black and white, 1, 2, 3 kind of thing, but he tells stories. And they're very, very specific stories that give you a bigger perspective. The lost sheep, the lost coin, and here the lost son. And I challenge you to go back and look at them, and there's this through line. There's the importance of fun in each and every one of them. But this one tells us what fun actually does to people. And I'm not going to go into the story. Everybody knows the story. But I want to talk about the reactions of two people. And the first one is the father. Everybody knows this one, where he's like, quick, blah, 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 blah. Let's do this. He's back. Let's throw a party. Let's have the best food. Let's have the best clothes. And you see, there's an important connection we need to make between fun and celebration. They're deeply connected. Really, one doesn't happen without the other. But the thing they have in common is they share this focus and this ultimate result that when they're done, they bring us joy, obviously, but they bring us meaning and they bring us connection. We see this in the Hebrew culture. Like all their celebrations, all their feasts and their this and their that is all rooted in celebrating, God's provision, protection, promises, the stories of what God's done. And it brings them joy, meaning, and connection. And then there's weddings and there's Sabbaths and there's festivals. There's acts of remembrance throughout Jewish culture. There's obviously different ways they worshiped and have those festivals, the thing they do. But every single one of them did the same thing in all these celebrations. It brought joy, meaning, and connection. Same thing in the Christian practice of it. Like the kingdom of God is likened to a banquet or a wedding feast, right? We talk about, even at Christmas, joy to the world. I mean, it's just, there's the glimpse of this eternal celebration with God that's coming, and how even what we're doing right here is a celebration, a pre-celebration of what life's going to be, and once again the heartbeat of Sabbath and all those kind of stuff. But once again, when we do it in the Christian tradition, it does the same thing, though. All of it does the same thing: joy, meaning, and connection. And just so you know, I mean, this is actually something that I probably would have loved to spend more time on. There's a whole science to fun. Like, I just love that we've actually stopped and said, I want to figure out why we have fun. And somebody paid money to do this and got paid money to do this. But like, one of the interesting things, just to give you an idea how it's even important just in the flow of humanity, regardless of any faith tradition, like smiling, for example, laughing. There's an evolutionary scientific reason why we even do that. It's more than just an emotional expression. It's tied to our psychology, our physiology, our social interactions, and it's important into our own well-being, the relationships we have, and just the way we survive in the world. But once again, if you think about from a scientific points of view, it does the same thing: fun, celebrating, all the things we do. It brings joy, meaning, and connection. So here we see the same thing, don't we? We see the Father and the Son, and we see this joy that the Father has, that his Son is returned for whatever reason. He doesn't even care. But you see that joy, and we've talked about it in Christmas, that it's not just this happy-dappy feeling, it's this deep peace, it's this deep fulfillment, it's this deep presence of what's happening. And there's deep meaning in what's happening here. It's not just a party with a ring and clothes. It's communicating to not only the Son, but to the Father and everybody there that we are more important than the worst mistakes we make. It's deep, deep meaning in just this frivolous celebration that's happening. And ultimately, it brings what? Connection. Connection between the Father and the Son, remembering, right? Not just remembering, but remembering their relationship together. See, this is the fruits of fun. Not just frivolous, silly stuff, deep, deep, deep emotions, joy, meaning, and connection. But what's interesting about this parable also is it shows you the fruits of not having fun. And we see that in the good old son, right? Because he says here, he's like, he's complaining and he's like, I've done all this work and you've never thrown me a party. And he doesn't even want to be around it. He doesn't want to engage. It's free food and a party. And he's like, no, I'm mad. And it shows you here because there's a couple questions that come up because you see the opposite of what we're talking about with the fruits of fun. You're seeing misery. You're seeing emptiness. You're seeing disconnection. And it's not just the son's fault. Like, you got to ask yourself a question. If this dude was here all the time doing great stuff for the dad, always showing up, why didn't he throw him a party all the time? Like, just say, hey, son, it's your time for us to throw a party of how awesome you are. It seems like he never did, or maybe the son never caught it. And then the obvious one, too, is like, wait a minute, you thought your brother was dead, and you're not happy that he's not? It's like there's this, he's purposely choosing not to celebrate, not to have fun for obvious reasons. But the result, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. There was a choice not to have fun, not to celebrate, and there's misery and emptiness and disconnection in that. And see, there's a lot more that can be said about fun and celebration and all it does. But if none of that convinces you, let me just say this, and I hope you remember it, is the importance of fun is this. Fun over time gives connection. That's one of the most important things that fun does. Like anybody who's ever been in one of those meetings, and you guys know in the listening church, why do we start out with those dumb icebreakers? Why? Because we need to have fun together. We're about to jump into some stuff that's probably pretty serious. Some people might get hurt. Some people, so let's have a little fun. And there's actually a scientific reason why we smile, and it kicks in our brain like, oh, this person's teeth is showing, they're safe. There's actually a scientific reason for that. But it purposely does stuff to connect us to one together. The meaning and the joy part is just extra. The connection is the first thing that it does. So practically, what does that mean for my fellow cacti out there? I challenge you, prioritize fun in your life. Prioritize looking for the fun in your life. Because here's the thing, having fun, seeing fun, celebrating, it's like working out. If you don't do it, it hurts when you do it. And you're not very good at it. You just got to work out your funny bone, pretty much. And there's an interesting thing in leadership culture that I learned a long time ago is like, you replicate what you celebrate. And it's true. Like, think about what we celebrate, that we keep coming back to it over and over again. But if we don't celebrate the little things, the little fun things in our life, it does so much more. See this sun, the other sun here. Just the little things of having fun. And I'll balance that by saying, though, to the super fun people, you can't party all the time. We can't party all the time, and that's fine. And so, but ask yourself, like, you can do the same thing as us unfun people. Instead of just hanging out maybe with that joy part, like really maybe lean in of like, wait a minute, how is this connecting me to the people and places around me? How is this bringing much more deeper meaning into my life and the relationships around me? And you see, I just go back to what I said before. These rhythms are in our life, and they're just intrinsic. They're everywhere, experienced by everybody at every time, and we need to be intentional in engaging into them because they do invite us to something deeper. And fun, as it would seem, is one of the most important ones that we can engage in because fun over time gives us connection. So let's spend the next couple minutes having fun in silence and just feeling and just sensing what the Spirit might be saying to us today. Receive this benediction. May you go now alive, at least more than you was when you came here, to the sacred rhythm of fun. May you embrace the moments of fun, all of them, the silliness, the playfulness, and really the freedom to let go of striving and just simply exist. May you come to know that fun is not just a frivolous thing. It's a sacred rhythm that renews your spirit, binds you to others, and draws you deeper into the heart of God. So go now with lightness in your steps, with laughter in your soul, and with the courage to make joy a practice, fun a practice, knowing that it can change you and through you, the world. Have a great week. Stay warm. Amen.